Hello creators! Sky and I have been enjoying a lot of hiking already this season. Northeast Pennsylvania offers much to see with lots of lakes, woodlands, and plenty of waterfalls. Now, not that I need an excuse to feed my journaling addiction, but I was eager to create a journal to sketch our hikes and write about our adventures. So in this video, I'll share my creative adventure of putting this custom journal together, where I was inspired to create a supply pouch on the spine just to make it even cooler. Hey, you can look forward to future videos where I share our hikes and sketches that are born from our discoveries, so make sure to click subscribe and ring that bell to be notified when I post them. So let's make a journal. I created a paper block using 32-pound Southworth Ivory Granite Specialty paper. It's just the right weight to hold the watercolor and give my journal that wonderful crinkly sound I love so much. And I used a kettle stitch binding so the book opens flat no matter what page you're on, and covered the spine with a piece of scrap fabric. I salvaged the hardcover off an old tattered book. It was just the size I wanted and had the perfect patina. I'm just trying the paper block out for size, getting myself excited about how it's going to look. Yeah, I like this size. It's going to do just nicely. So overnight, this idea came to me to create a pouch in the spine to hold a pencil or two. I had no idea if this had ever been done before. It has. Well, you know, I had to look before posting this video to make sure I wasn't missing out on $1 million idea. I had the piece of scrap fabric and scrap elastic, and I wanted to make a flap to tuck into the elastic to keep the pencils from falling out. Then I left the sides wide enough to attach inside the hardcovers, leaving enough room in the center to hold some supplies, like this ruler, a couple of pencils. An adventurer never knows what one might need to hide in the spine of a book. I'm going to sew my edges first. At least that's the easy part. Something that made sense to me. Plus it would get the pins out of the way. I was gonna sew along the bottom just to give it a finished edge. Now I had to wrap my head around how I wanted to finish the edges of the flap for the pouch. I struggled with the fact that I left myself only this teeny weeny little small hem to play with. I'm sure there's probably a better way to do this, but with my basic sewing skills, I got it done. I persevered. That hem was so tiny, I had to use a pin to help fold down that hem underneath the foot. Takes a lot of patience, not something I always have. Took my time, there you go. Phew. I also sewed on the elastic and gave tucking the flap underneath it a try. I was playing with the idea if I wanted to add beads to the edge or not, but I wound up just keeping it simple. I haven't sewn the sides yet. My brain is still processing how this is all going to get done. But I wanted to see how it looked with the hard covers in place. So far it looks like it's sizing up great, especially at the top and the bottom edge. I was proud of myself for at least getting that much right. Let's see what it looks like on the spine. Now while I'm playing with it here on the spine, this is when it occurs to me that the sides of the pouch will need to be sewn so that it forms a pouch. Otherwise, I'll be lucky if I can even slide the ruler in there. I decided I better grab the pencils and put them under the fabric here to use as a guide to figure out how pouchy the pouch needed to be. So I'm realizing that the top fabric needs to be pulled in, leaving that bottom fabric exposed. Before I pinned the sides, I wanted to make sure that my pattern lined up. So I used the pattern to center it and pinned it at the top so it wouldn't move. I left the pencils inside as a guide and pinned the sides. Now I took the pencils out, of course, when I sewed it. But it was very helpful here while I was doing the pinning. With the pouch sewn, I needed a solution for the fact that the backing of the fabric that I used was not only exposed and ugly, but it was also causing the tips of the pencils to get caught. Probably something I should have thought of before sewing it all together. No worries, there's always a solution. I had this black satin ribbon. I used a ruler as an assist to tuck it into the pouch. And you can see I already glued the black satin into a point to match the flap. When I sewed it, I just sewed it together at the flap on the top. The rest of the ribbon is still just tucked inside the pouch. Let's clean up those salvaged hardcovers. I trimmed the uneven edges, and I didn't quite like the look of the cardboard now that was showing on the edge. So using my brain, I figured out, what do I have on hand? And I remembered I had this athletic tape, you know, the kind they use when you're wrapping ankles or wrists on athletes. Okay, no lie, I think I have this left over from when I played basketball back in the 80s. Hey, you use what you have on hand, right? It was just sitting there in the first aid kit. And of course, I was going to want it to be black, so what do I use? I tried Copic markers, and either they were drying out on me or they just weren't making it black enough. But this Sharpie marker, it's oil-based Sharpie marker, I tried that out and it was nice and dark and did the trick. Thank you, Mary. I didn't have to worry about painting the entire strip of tape, just the one side. Because when you tape it around on the inside cover, that part's not going to be seen. So a liberal spread of glue. I love these rubber brushes, by the way, for helping to spread the glue. They're awesome for that. Okay, I placed the tape on and folded it over into the inside of the cover. And this is how I made a clean edge. On the inside of the cover, trim toward the spine edge, but not all the way. Then cut up to remove that piece of tape. Put a dab of glue where you're going to fold the flap of tape over. Then pinch the flap of tape at the bottom edge and fold it over. Now don't worry about all that extra glue. get that rubber paintbrush and use it to paint over and smooth on the tape to make sure it gets nice and covered. There you go. I have a nice black edge on that cover. And I think that fabric athletic tape added to the patina. It didn't look bright and shiny and finished. I'm going to have to trim this elastic, or else it's going to create too much bulk when I go to apply the inside paper later. Before I go any further, I want to add this bookmark ribbon. I typically forget to do this, and I'm struggling to try and get the ribbon tucked inside the spine to create the bookmark ribbon. At least now I can do it. It's easy to get to, and I can give a good length of it adhered to the spine so it'll be less likely to fall off. I used a canvas type ribbon. It just seemed to go along with the whole theme of hiking journal. We're getting closer. It's time to glue the pouch to the book covers. I'm using a healthy dose of Fabri-Tac glue. I don't know about you, but at this stage of the game, I get really excited. It's just so neat to think that this idea I had in my head is slowly pulling together and taking shape and looks more and more like the finished product. I love having an idea and bringing it to life like this. All right, just making sure I get the right cover on the right side. Making sure the top and the bottom edge look good. Well, there it is, the outside cover. So exciting! Just putting the paper block in there, daydreaming a little bit more of how it's going to be done soon, and it's also giving me an idea of how to measure for my inside paper covers. Okay, while that dries, let's make the inside covers. This is what will hold the paper block to the hardcover, as well as give the book some character. It's going to be the first thing you see when you open up the cover. I'm in love with this paper by Crafter's Companion. It's from their Peony collection. It's a 12 by 12 Nature's Garden paper pad. So I'm making my measurements and measuring twice, because you know you only get a certain amount of sheets in a paper block, so I don't want to mess this up. And the way that I'm cutting it out, I'm going to need 2 sheets. One for the inside cover and one for the inside back cover. I have the paper cut to size, and I'm just making sure it will fit nicely edge to edge. If there's going to be any overhang, I want to be able to trim it now. I won't be able to after I glue it on. So that polka dotted side is going to be glued to the first page of the paper block. I'm peeling back some of the cloth that is supporting the spine. Some of the glue bled over to the top of the first page, and I just want to make sure that I will have a clean seal when I glue on this top sheet to that first page. Here we go, a nice generous supply of Aleene's multi-purpose glue. I should take stock out in it, honestly. You want to make sure to go right to the edge with the glue so that when you turn the page, you don't think that it's maybe two pages accidentally stuck together. It's like you want that nice pretty paper and that first page of the paper block to become one. So you want to smooth out the glue, nice and smooth. And don't be me, I'm realizing I'm getting glue on the rest of pages. So just remember, don't be me. Have a piece of scrap paper behind that first page so you can go ahead and smooth the glue and not worry about sharing the wealth there. Okay, make sure to match up your edges nice before you start smoothing it out. Now that polka dotted side that you're seeing there is what's going to get glued onto the hardcover. Okay, I have both sides of that inside paper cover glued to the paper block. And I love when you have the book open this way, it looks like one continuous flow of the paper. Now you know when you open and close the book at that crease in the center, if you're just relying on paper, over time that's going to wear. So this little flap of fabric that I've been playing with this whole time gets glued down now as an extra support at the crease where you're opening and closing the book all the time. Get rid of these little extra strings hanging on here and just get that done on both sides. Oh my goodness, we're so close to being done I can barely stand it. This is the final bit of assembly. So again, do full coverage with the glue, making sure to go all the way to the edge. Look how good I'm getting at this. I even remembered to put the scrap paper underneath the page. Make sure to match that far edge first before you smooth it over. Okay, I am a messy booksmith. I don't deny that. I make sure to have wet ones off to the side and handy to keep my fingers clean. Look, I'm not even worried about that little schmutz of glue on the edge there. Don't worry, it'll dry clear. All right, do you see near the center here, this is what I was talking about with that elastic having to be cut off, because where the pouch meets on the inside cover makes it a little bulky in there. But not so bad that you don't have a beautiful book cover. I love it, and this inside cover leaves a lot of room for a creative idea inside, maybe a nameplate, or I'm not sure. Well, there you have it, the completed journal. Thank you for watching. We already have some adventures in there, but as you can see, we have plenty of blank pages to fill. So remember to come back and look for more videos where we go on our hikes and we share them in the journal and share them with you. Remember, laugh with life. Laugh a lot.